Rip City, this is Jeremy Grant, and you're listening to the Blazers Balcony with Brooke, Olzendam, and Casey Holdahl.
Greetings, Blazer fans, and welcome to the Blazers Balcony, presented by Spirit Mountain Casino. Episode 161 of the Blazers Balcony, presented by Spirit Mountain Casino. I'm Casey Holdahl, I'm joined by my co-host and co-friend at our palatial rooms in Indianapolis, Brooke Olzendam. Brooke, how are you doing?
Well, I have to tell you, my room is a little more palatial than yours.
It should be. You should. I very strongly believe that there should be a hierarchy in terms
I don't think there should be a hierarchy.
Rooms. And it should flow from, as someone who's been with the team for a long time, I feel like
that would be you.
But I do feel like it should flow. Importance is not the right word because that makes me feel a little negative, but just there should be a hierarchy, is all I'm saying. And so for someone like yourself to get a better room than me, that is the way it should work.
It just
should be on a rotation. Yeah. And then, it's too hard to put that together, which actually, that's a good reminder, by the way. Shout out to Nick West.
I was going to say. I was like, I knew you were going to say.
Our former now travel guy has since his last day was the last game. Mm-hmm. Nick West has been with the team had been with the team almost as long as I have. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite guys.
Yeah.
Super nice. So kind, super nice. Always, whenever you'd have a question about travel stuff, for me, it always feels a little like, you guys, they're here for the players and for the coaches. And so for me to even be like, hey, something's messed up in my room, or something's not right here, almost feels a little like you shouldn't do it. But Nick was always so great with dealing with stuff. And again, I always felt like made us feel like we were kind of a part of the team. Yeah. I always really respect about Nick. So Nick West, I'm sure you're not even listening to this, but if you are, best of luck in your next endeavors. Don't be a stranger. You're one of the good ones.
Yeah, he's a sweetheart. That was a shock when I heard that news. I think you told me.
I texted you. I was like, "Did you know Nick West's last day is today?"
I was like, "What?"
And you're like, "It is."
That cannot be. It just doesn't seem right that he's just such a staple. But he's going to go do something he really wants to do, that he loves, he's passionate about, and so I think it's great. Great family too, lovely wife. So miss seeing him at games and seeing him around, but I'm sure he'll be back. He'll come do some games. He said he was going to. But back to the rooms. It just happens to. Sometimes you happen to get. It's really happenstance.
For sure. Yeah.
There was one time in LA a couple of years ago that I don't know how I lucked out, but I got the corner room that had the wrap.
If you get the corner room, so I had that in New York. My room in New York was one of the corners where you go around the corner and then you kind of both sets of windows, which is very nice. I always face the same direction too. I always face towards the city and not towards the water.
That's lucky. Or depending on what you want.
Yeah, but also too and because it has that hallway, one of the windows looks right out into World Trade, which is kind of neat.
Oh, very neat. No, yeah. Anyways, my room is not that much bigger than Casey's. I just noticed when I walked in, it was different because I just have a longer walkway. But it's really funny because Casey and I are obviously doing this podcast and. We usually do it in his room, and I could not be further away from your room. I was like, am I still going here? Is this right?
And I feel like the numbers are not laid out properly either. They're not in numerical order. In places that do odd numbers on one side, even numbers on the other, it's let's put it in order.
I agree.
Harmony. So since we mentioned it on the broadcast the other day, we are staying at a different hotel here in Indianapolis. Not that anyone cares except for me.
I was going to say, how do you feel about it so far?
I feel good about it. One, it's very close to the old hotel, but the fact that there are cheap shopping options literally steps away from the hotel, that's always a real positive for Casey. Mm-hmm. A place to get a coffee is close. Casey likes that too. I'm glad we're staying in this general area because the arena is very close, and proximity to the arena is obviously very important in my personal opinion. When it comes to a hotel, I would much rather prefer a worse hotel that's closer to the arena than a nice hotel that is a long ways away, except for in Los Angeles, where we should always stay in Santa Monica, regardless of which team we're playing in, because that hotel is awesome.
It is.
And I don't love that my window looks out onto a courtyard, but I feel like my room at the place we used to stay out always looked out onto the spa courtyard, which is even way worse because you want to look out your window and then it's people getting like a spa treatment. And they're like, who is this creep that's looking at me right now? It's like, no, I just want to look outside a little bit. I swear I'm not a weirdo.
I have the same view if that helps you at all. I don't have it. I look exactly like, this looks exactly like mine does. But you know what I do love about this hotel? I don't know if you noticed the water station.
So when I was looking to see if they had a sauna, I did see they had like a hydration station. It's one of the main things. And I was like, oh, that's
right next to my room.
Oh, it's right next to your room. Does it have bubbly water too?
Yes.
Oh.
It's the real deal.
Yeah.
I saw it right when I walked by. I was like, oh yes. And it just happened to be right next to my room. So
yeah. I saw literally the first thing that they have listed as like their amenities is that they don't have any single service plastic in the hotel.
Oh, okay.
Which, like, good for you guys. But, like when I'm booking a hotel, like the use of single serve plastic is not really super high up on my list of desirables. So
I will only stay at hotels.
The last thing I'll say about our hotel conversation here too is the one thing that I do think about sometimes is when we have different people on the trip, and particularly if their names are close to my last name, I'm like, I wonder if they're going to get the room that I would have on this trip. So Tyra, who's on this trip, also her last name starts with H, and Lamar is Lamar Hurd, so he's at H2, so we're usually pretty close together. And so when Lamar was walking in front of me, I was just like, I'm just going to follow you, Lamar, because I assume that whatever room you're in, I'm probably in the room next to it. Mm-hmm. But since Tyra, who's another H, is here, it's actually her room. So that got me thinking more about, like, there's been times when I was like, you got a better room than I did, and just because you bumped me on the alphabetical list. Fair enough, but well, whatever. So either way, glad to be here in Indianapolis. Halfway through the trip, basically, you start off with a back-to-back versus the Sixers and the Nets. Now we're here in Indianapolis, where we will face the Pacers on Wednesday before beginning the Western Conference version of the trip versus the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Denver Nuggets. Blazers start the trip going 1-1. Have a game versus Philadelphia that I think, a disappointing game. I think it's fair to say, and I don't think that I'm saying anything that anyone didn't think or know that, that was a game where, the Blazers right now, they're in a race to try to move up in the play-in. And I think kind of no one's like stated it explicitly, but I think the goal is like, hey, a home play-in game. Right. That's if we get into ninth, we will get a home playing game. We will give ourselves a much better chance of potentially getting a playoff spot if we have at least one home game first before we would have to go on the road to win another game. So that is still out there, and they're only a half game behind the Warriors right now. So it's very feasible. But the games like the game versus the Sixers, those are the ones where I feel like you're like, those are the games we need to get if we're really going to get up a spot to try to get at least a home playing game. And so the fact they weren't able to win that one, they end up losing that 109-103 in a game that neither team played very well. I think both teams shot under 40% for the game. Blazers just turned the ball over way too many times. And that's just been a theme for this team, unfortunately, is that turnovers have just, I think part of it is because, they had injuries early in the season, so guys are kind of forced into duties they maybe didn't have before. And unfortunately, that's just kind of continued throughout the season. So, not great that was the case, particularly in a game where, again, neither team played all that well, but I just kept thinking, like, every time I looked up at the scoreboard, I was like, we're only down 5?
Yeah.
And then when we get to the fourth, I was like, okay, like, if we can, like, put it together here just for like 3 or 4 minutes, like, we can steal this one. And unfortunately, it was the 76ers that put it together for 3 or 4 minutes, and they were the ones that got it. And when neither team was playing well, the home team is typically going to win. Second out of back-to-back for the 76ers, but their record in second out of back-to-backs is really good, just as the Blazers' record in second out of back-to-backs is very good and was improved by winning the game versus the Nets. So, again, a game where, I thought Thiago after the game, too, I think was, some pretty pointed comments about particularly the mistakes the team made and needing to be better about those things. So, on one hand, it's a road game, first game of a trip. The Sixers they were missing guys, but I don't think they're as bad as I think some people might think they are. Blazers, for whatever reason, have had the damnedest time with Eastern Conference teams this year. So to lose that one didn't feel especially great.
No, you're right. And your coach said, these are the reasons that we did not win this game. And you pointed to turnovers, which, as you just mentioned, was key in that game. And I do think they responded. And I think that's what there were some turnovers against the Nets towards the end when they were making when they went on their 16-0 run.
Their 16-0 run. Yeah.
that little time. But they got a much better start. It felt like they were ready. They were ready to respond. And then you saw it from the beginning. Like I said, there's a little bit of I wasn't worried in the fourth, but I was just like, oh man, let's just keep.
You're on the road.
Yeah.
Nothing's promised.
True.
They've had some rough stretches. So you're exactly right. Like when they go 16-0, you're like,
yeah.
And it's one of those situations too. And exactly what happened is that like, hey, if you just get like 1 or 2 buckets here, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But you got to get 1 or 2 buckets. Yeah. And I even said in our Slack channel, I think when it was like a 14-0 run and we hadn't scored in the fourth quarter yet, my comment was, we're up, but like I think we're going to have to score at least 2 points in the fourth quarter in order to win this game. And they did enough to do that. And Drew being the guy who comes out and hits a shot,
yes,
which is just like exactly what you would expect in that situation. Mm-hmm. Is the guy who's been through the fire, who's like, hey, all right. And there was actually one point in time, too, I thought it was hilarious, where the Nets scored again. And Donovan coming back was the one that was like doing everyone calm down. And I was like, Donovan Clingan is like, hey, everyone, take it down a little bit. It's going to be all right. Don't worry. Like, and he's not that he's like a guy who worries about stuff, but he's like an intense fellow.
Yes.
So like if Donovan is even like, all right, everyone, let's just cool it down. It's cool. Don't worry. Like, I think that speaks to one, his growth as a player, and two, also just the idea that like everyone needs to be like, all right, everyone, just take a breath. It's going to be all right.
Yep.
Let's just run a play here, get a good look. If it doesn't go in, that's okay. Mm-hmm. Let's play some defense, and then we'll go back and run another one. So you're right, Brooke. I thought that harrowing a little bit, but they got to figure it out.
Yeah, DC, props to him for playing with 5 fouls too.
Yeah.
I mean, I was watching him extra close because I'm like, that's got to be so hard for someone of his size to defend down low when you cannot foul. I mean, you're focusing on not fouling, but you still want to defend well. I thought he did a really good job of that playing with 5. But yeah, he was intense at the beginning of the game, so that is pretty funny that he was the calming factor towards the end. But no, I really thought they did a great job of responding to what the coaching staff has said. It's a quick turnaround, but as you mentioned, they play well, usually on the second of a back-to-back. So it's almost like I'm kind of glad that was a back-to-back after that first loss because, it's like right back at it and let's get it done. You don't have a ton of time to think about it, stew on it. It's like, I don't want to feel that way again, so let's go out and let's get this one done. And I thought that was overall, other than that 16-0 run, a really impressive win. I think everybody was involved. Kris Murray, I thought was fantastic.
Yeah. No, we'll talk a little about Kris here. Yeah, I thought he had a great game, and him playing backup center. Just trying to figure out ways to get involved and be valuable. And that's for young players. I mean, Kris not supposed to be young; he's on his first contract still. That's kind of what you have to do. Is you gotta always be willing to be like, yeah, I'll play center, sure. Yeah, I'll get minutes. All right, great. Yeah, I'll do what you need to do. So
he's that kind of guy too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. When we talked to him, Casey and I talked to him afterwards and asked him if he had done that before. Didn't he say a little bit in college?
I think he said a little bit in college. He's like, I'd never in high school, which I was a little surprised.
Yeah,
I imagine at his size, I mean, I know Iowa's pretty basketball intense, but I kind of figure a guy of Kris' size, I kind of assume you'd play some center because, you're 6'6", 6'7", you got decent size for a high schooler. So I was a little surprised by that. But when he was like, in college a little bit, I played some 5. So I thought that was interesting.
I did too. But yeah, he was great. Everyone involved, obviously, I mean, Deni was great. And that was kind of the focus of our broadcast because of the intense atmosphere at Barclays, as I'm sure you guys have all seen or heard, or if you watch the game, like I said, we talked about it a lot, but the support there was out of this world.
Never. I mean, again, this is season 18 for me. Dame in Utah, on introductions, always a very strong response. But once the game starts, it's go to heck, buddy. We want to win. But yeah, in Brooklyn on Monday night, it was as loud as I've ever heard it for an opposing player, for us at least. And it reminded me, I was like, this must have been what it's like, when Steph Curry is playing other places or when Kobe played other places, just guys who have national fan bases. And, particularly in a place like Portland where like, tickets I think are fairly affordable. A lot of times like fans will come to those games and, I wouldn't say it was as loud as it was in Brooklyn for Deni, but like, it's always loud and I'm always
yeah, I know, me too.
So, but then to be on the other end of it and be like, wow, he's there. I mean, like when he got him off the bench.
Oh, when he went back to the bench.
Yeah,
when he left, when he came back, when he sat down, when he stood up, it was crazy. So I walked behind the bench to go do my first quarter hit. And that's the majority. They were everywhere, but the big mass was behind the bench. Obviously, they bought tickets to be behind the bench, and massive fans for Deni. So I was walking back, and like I got stopped by a couple of different people saying, and not the first time, but like a couple different on the way back, saying, I don't miss a single game. When I go back to Israel, because there are a couple of people that were visiting or go back. They said wake up in the middle of the night, whenever, like 4 a.m, whenever the games are. They wake up and they don't miss a single Deni game. And also, it was very cool afterwards that they swapped jerseys.
Yeah, Ben Surratt and Deni Wolf. Yeah, I mean, like so obviously we've gotten to know a little bit of Israeli media through them covering Deni, and particularly on the East Coast, there's more Israeli media, and they've always said that like Blazer games now, like everyone watches them, everyone stays up, like or gets up earlier, records them and watches them, and it's like it's maybe not an event, but it's like everyone knows about. They run a segment a lot of times on Israeli news just about kind of Deni.
Oh yeah.
And so for that game with Ben Surratt and Deni Wolf, I mean, we must have put up ridiculous numbers for the broadcast of that one, because I guarantee it was.
I gotta look that up.
And obviously, there's a lot going on in that part of the world, so I'm sure, in some respects, there's other things to pay attention to. But also the other part of that is, it's nice to
celebrate
every now and then, not have to pay attention to that.
Absolutely.
The point of sports, or at least it used to be the whole point of sports, was to be a diversion from the awfulness of your life in general, and which is why it always bumps me out when their sports fandom like manifests as like anger and like being pissed off about stuff. It's like, man, this is supposed to be something you enjoy. Like, let your job be the thing you hate. Like, let this be the thing that you derive some happiness out of. That's not to say you can't criticize it, but sometimes it's like, are you ever happy about this team? Like, does this ever make you feel good? And like, I want to ask people that sometimes, and like in the most like non-cynical, non-snarky way possible. Like, I'm really actually interested. Like, does this ever make you feel happy? Like, and if not, like, maybe think about that a little bit and kind of flesh out why that might be. And is this something that is adding something negative to your life? And if so, maybe replace it with something you might like a little bit more. But
a whole other podcast.
Yeah, there's a whole other podcast.
But I also talked to Deni afterwards. It was really sweet because, he went and they did the swap. And then, like I said, his fans were everywhere. There was like a big group behind the bench, but they were everywhere. So he like kind of stood in the middle of the floor and did the heart hands to everyone. And then I stopped him to do the walk-off, and he kind of looked surprised. I mean,
Deni always looks surprised. Like, there's times where I'm like even in the locker room last night, he kind of looked up at me and like did one of these, and I was like, Deni, like, you've seen my face before, right? Like, do you have that thing where like you don't see people's faces? Like, because like I swear, once every 2 weeks, I'll ask Deni something or just say something to him, and he'll be like, what? And I'll be like, I've known you for a couple of years now, man. Like, it's just like, I think it's just his affect.
I think it is. I think he's just kind of looking around all the time, and
he's a little doe-eyed.
Yes, so he wasn't like upset about it. He was just like, oh, me, oh, okay, it's just like kind of like, oh, okay, and so we did that, and then found out later something happened with the pen. You know how they signed the thing? It started like bleeding down. It was terrible. I didn't even notice it.
So it's funny because I heard Greg say that, and we got a photo of that, and I was like, oh, that looks pretty good to me. Like, I was like, is that the one? And I was like, oh, it looks all right. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Deni had a reaction to it. He was like, oh, well, no.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was standing behind, so I didn't see it happen. But yeah, so he handed me the pen, and I had no clue that happened. And Greg told Casey and I, the pen, like, I don't know. He asked me, he's like, did something happen with the pen? I'm like, what are you talking about? And apparently, like, it just, I don't know. It's one of those push ones where, and so then it must have just built up, and then anyway, didn't notice that, but that's not the point of the story. But afterwards, I said, I'll let you go, go see your fans. And I gotta go because they're all still here. They're not going anywhere as long as you're standing here. and he, walked back. He walked towards them and just, I mean, he couldn't have signed everything. He stopped in with some kids, and then a bunch of people got in. So he signed a lot of stuff, but like it was just, they just all came down like towards the front. It was just, I'll just repeat what Kay said. I've never seen anything like it before in my life. It was, and he was so sweet about it. And I asked him, I even said in the walk-off, I go, it felt like a home game. He's like, I know. He's like, and he was very like appreciative and grateful, and just like, I can't believe it myself. So it was a sweet, not just the whole night. It was pretty cool to see all the love. And it was just sweet to see all the kids too. There were a bunch of kids and, Deni jerseys and just losing it, yelling, Deni, Deni, Deni. And it was just a nice feel good night for Deni and kind of, for us too, because we were a part of it. Yeah,
absolutely. I wanted to circle back to something real fast because I've been wondering about this for a while. So when you have them sign the camera, do they have a piece of glass they put on it? I was curious. I was like, and when are they like, okay, maybe they're going to win this game. Let's put on the glass onto the camera so they can sign it. Like, can you talk me through that?
There's a glass that slides in so that you're not actually signing the lens, and then you slide the glass out, and then that's what we keep. Well, what's funny is I have this deep fear, and it has never even happened, but that like something's going to happen with the camera and it's not going to be there, and I'm going to hand the pen, and then it's not going to be there. And there have been a couple times where like that guy with that camera runs up right as I'm finishing it. So it's like, it was close, but I try to look, you'll maybe notice it. At some point I try to look over and make sure it's there, so I don't hand the pen out and then there's nothing there. That would be awkward, but it hasn't happened. They've come, and I think they have it ready just in case, like with the glass on it. I mean, if I'm maybe down 50 with a minute to go, no. But it's always ready to go. And so it's a different camera, obviously, than the one that we're looking at. And then they take that out and we take it with us.
So it's a different camera?
Well, so we're looking at one camera, and then there's a second camera with we're looking at this guy.
So the camera that you're talking to when you're doing the post game, when you're doing that interview, is not the camera you sign? I don't think I ever put that.
Well, yeah, you had to, because I'm looking at this one, and then he walks over and signs that one.
I guess I never really.
Funny.
I've seen it before, but I've never really thought it. I assumed that it was the camera that you were talking into. No. And now I'll watch it and I'll be like, well, of course it wasn't Casey. But I always thought that was just funny. The same camera.
That's why I said I had the fear that's not going to be there.
Sure.
Because I'm looking at this camera. I'm looking at whoever I'm interviewing, really. But I obviously know that camera's there because we start the interview with the camera ready to go. But oftentimes when I start that interview, that the second camera with the glass is not there yet. And so that's when I start internally fearing that it's not going to arrive.
Sure.
But it has every time. Yeah. So I really should let that go.
And so there's literally there's a camera head thing that it just splits. And because I've heard about those for if they're doing if you're outside shooting in the snow, and they have ones that are heated or whatever that keep it from mucking up the lens. But I didn't. So there's literally a little slide. They just drop it in there, and then we take the glass out. Where is that glass?
We keep them. We were going to do. We had an idea of putting them all together last year. I don't know what happened with that.
Well, yeah, we need to find that out because unfortunately, I don't know if we're telling this business, but with Greg leaving, we need to make sure that someone knows where that's at, because that's a.
I don't think he'll take them with him.
Well, maybe he knows where they're at.
No, I'm kidding.
No one, one will know where to find them.
Okay, we'll figure that out. Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, good. I'm glad I was able to figure out a question that I've had a long time about.
Yes,
and avoid, because if someone took a permanent marker, lenses are expensive.
Oh, yes.
So I'm wondering if someone started to right on the wrong camera.
Oh, that's
if
almost
the camera guy would be like, no.
No, that's me going, no. Yeah. That happened. I think it was Shaden. It was Shaden. I think it was Shaden. And I was like, and he went to, I was like, no. That happened a couple times last year, because the first time that they had done it, first walk off, and we just started doing it. So I'm not shocked, that, because I say sign the camera, but I had to be physically arm out, no, that one. And I remember saying something that would have been bad. That would have been expensive.
Yeah. I mean, when it's still wet, you get some acetate, you could probably get it off, but yeah, I mean, I always tell people, I don't know if it's the same thing with video cameras, but with photography cameras, the lenses are the most expensive part.
Oh yeah, of course.
The camera body has really come down in cost throughout the years, but the actual glass, as they say in the industry, is that's where we have to spend the money. So,
all right, we'll get to the bottom of this. Figure out what we're going to do with those.
Yeah. Maybe we should get players to sign our photo, the camera sometime too. Like
you should,
when they don't walk in, they're like, hey, slide some glass in there.
Get after it.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't work as well, but how can I steal anything that you do, Brooke? That's what I'm trying to figure out here. So the Blazers lose the game in Philadelphia, and we bus to Manhattan, a rarity, I would say. We were talking about it maybe on the bus. I think I've taken buses 3 times with my time with the team. I remember we bused once from, I think, San Francisco to Sacramento. We bused once from Chicago to Milwaukee, and we bused from Philadelphia to Manhattan. So a little different, but
and we also bused from Seattle.
Yeah, so it's from Seattle when there was a snowstorm, and the NBA, in their infinite wisdom, made us fly from Los Angeles to Seattle, and then we stayed in Tacoma for like 4 hours, and then got on a bus and took the bus down to Portland, and then beat the Los Angeles Lakers. And there's one other part of that story that it always sticks in my mind, and I don't know if
wasn't it Cleveland
too. It was Cleveland. You're right. Yeah, it was LeBron.
Yeah,
It was LeBron. I'm sorry. Whatever team LeBron was on at the time.
And the irony is that they flew out of LA right before us, and they got to land.
They got in. Yeah,
and we did not. Because remember, we were tracking them, and that was the craziest part. That they got in, they slept, a full night. We had to do all this craziness, and then beat them. That was wild.
Yeah, that was wild. And what I remember is that they gave us breakfast sandwiches when we were getting on the bus, and there was mayonnaise.
Yes, that's what we all remember about that.
What we all remember. I
was going to blow his top.
Last second, exactly. Which I had a nice conversation at a bakery in Philadelphia with the person that took my order for a breakfast sandwich about not putting mayonnaise on breakfast sandwiches. Because I have to ask now because I got burned sometime on this trip, and she agreed with me that mayonnaise should not be on breakfast sandwiches. And she explained to me that the owner of the bakery hates mayonnaise so much that he does not allow any mayo in the actual restaurant, which I don't agree with.
That's a bit much.
Yeah, I even though I don't want to eat it, I don't want to keep other people from eating necessarily.
No, I will not be visiting that restaurant.
You will not be going
soon.
to the Mighty Bread Co.
Nope. How do you just because you don't like it? Like, I don't like black olives, right? But if I open up a pizzeria, I'm not going to say no black olives in this pizzeria because I don't like them. I think that's just going a little bit overboard. You can just have like a bottle of it. If people want to put it on, they can.
You don't. Yeah, and that is the thing about opinions or ideas or like the values that you live. They're yours, and that's great. But don't try to put those on other people. Like, let them come to those things on their own. And
I could agree more.
Yeah, and I mean, I think no one should be eating mayonnaise. But again, that's your guys' right to do.
You want to hear a quick story?
I would love to.
So growing up, I grew up with my cousins were like my siblings growing up. We were always together, on vacation together. We have the lake place together. And so whenever we would we'd all order pizza, right? Well, I'm growing up. I'm like, this is disgusting. I hate pizza. I would always have a tuna fish sandwich. Like when it was pizza night and everyone was so excited about pizza night, I had a tuna fish sandwich. And I was like, God, I hate pizza night. I go to a friend's birthday party. I was like 13. They had pizza. I'm like, well, it's the only thing here. I guess I'll just eat it. Loved it. Come to find out, it's only because my family only ordered pepperoni, sausage, and olive. That's the only pizzas that we ever ordered. So I thought I hated pizza for 13 years.
First 13 years, you had pizza because they always got olives?
Yes.
And knowing that you don't like olives?
Well, I didn't know I didn't like olives. I thought I just didn't like it in general. And I'm like, oh, well, now I figured it out. It was the olives, but I had no idea. So I thought I just didn't like pizza, but it was the olives. I was like 5, 6, 7. I was like, oh, gross. I don't like this. I'm not thinking, oh, it's those black things that I don't like. I just thought I didn't like pizza in general because that's the only kind they ever ordered.
The fact that they always had olives, that is fascinating.
Yes.
Because, I like olives on pizza. I think it's it's fine. But for me, it's just like, there's maybe a little bit of saltiness, but I feel like I don't even taste them. And I'm like, but I feel that way about green onions. Like, if you put green onions on a pizza, I'm not eating it.
That's kind of a random thing to put on pizza.
So the Papa Murphy's Cowboy Pizza, they put it on that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I always have to be like, no, because it's like feet. and it's a terrible texture.
Oh, I don't mind onions. I like onions.
I don't mind onions. I don't like green onions.
Okay.
Particularly like the more stalk portion of it that is like kind of like papery.
Yeah.
That's
No, I understand that part. But yeah, no, black olives have a very intense like aftertaste to me too. Like I do not like them. I do not like them. So yeah, I was eating tuna fish the whole time. I could have just said, order me a cheese, order me a pepperoni. I would have been thrilled.
Just anything that doesn't have
anything that doesn't have olives on it.
Fascinating.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's like, such a weirdo. You don't like pizza. I was like, it tastes disgusting. And like, well, now I know. Like, wait, and first of all, why are you ordering a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7-year-old olives on your?
Yeah,
come
Allison, what are you doing?
I've talked to her about this.
Yeah, rightfully so. And I will quickly just say, as I think I've been telling everyone now recently, I've never had a tuna fish sandwich in my entire life.
That's crazy because you don't like mayo.
Because it's like it's a mayo sandwich with tuna fish.
Yeah, it's so good.
And I also saw someone recently was having a conversation about why it's called tuna fish and not just tuna. And I've been on that train for a long time.
What was the answer?
There isn't one.
Oh.
It's just one of those things that we do for whatever reason. Yeah, we don't say like, give me a salmon fish sandwich. Like, no, it's a salmon.
Interesting. Well, I mean, maybe because like there's two different kinds of tuna.
I think that might be what it is.
Like the nice, really like seared one that you get like a fancy restaurant, like sliced, and then the tuna fish sandwich.
Maybe it's because since it's so ubiquitous as a canned fish that they felt like, well, we're selling tuna steaks, so we need you guys to do something that separates it from what we're doing out here. So
we figured it out.
That must be it. We figured it out. Whoever was tweeting about that, please listen to the Blazers Company presented by Spirit Mountain Casino. So the Trailblazers, as I mentioned, lose that game 106-103. We take the bus, fun little bus ride, have some pizza on the bus with no olives, a few cheesesteaks, do some Oscars discussion, which, by the way, too, I wanted to apologize, Brooke, because when you'd mentioned the thing about the ballet, and I was like, Timothy Chalamet was right, she's wrong, and you were like, God, that was kind of rude, and I would like, and I remember when the words were coming out of my mouth, like, because I was kind of like saying it like back to you, and I remember when I was saying, I was like, that sounded too mean, and like because like I don't care, but like it did, and you were like, geez, that's mean, and I was like, yeah, you're right, like, so I apologize, Brooke. I did not mean for that to sound as aggressive as it came out of my mouth.
I didn't realize you had such strong feelings.
Yeah, I mean, it's just Timothy Chalamet got caught telling the truth, and that is one of the things that annoys me the most about contemporary culture is that when people get mad at someone for having the audacity to actually state a truth that they don't want to hear. And there's other various instances of that throughout the years, but that was just a more recent one where I was like, yeah, like people are mad at Timothy Chalamet because he's right. The old Hannibal Buress, why are you booing me? I'm right.
I love ballet though. I do love ballet.
That's not what he wasn't saying that he hated ballet.
He said, he didn't say he hated it, but he said that it's a dying art form.
Its cultural significance is absolutely dying, just as is opera. He is exactly right about that. Empirically, it is true. The amount of people who pay attention to those art forms now, even as a percentage, is much less than it was 20 years ago and way less than it was 50 years ago. And all he was saying is that he doesn't want to see movies go in that same direction, which at this point in time, with people and their inability to focus on anything for even a half hour, let alone for 2 hours, with the cost of movies now, I think he's got a decent little point there. So, but either way, we took a bus. That's right. I apologize for saying that. I was glad the U.S. team beat Dominican Republic.
That's right.
Well, they face Venezuela tonight for the World Baseball Classic Championship. And Casey, who's probably seen 5 baseball games in the last decade, is definitely an expert on the subject. So bus to Manhattan, get there at a decent time, and then have a back-to-back versus the Brooklyn Nets, which, as Brooke mentioned, Trailblazers win 114-95 on Monday at Barclays Center, a game in which the Blazers led by as many as 31 points. They got off to a 10-0 start, and I believe led 15-2 at the first timeout. Blazers basically were able to do mostly all they wanted in the first half, and then mostly in the second half until there was that 16-0 run in between the end of the third quarter and the beginning of the fourth quarter that put a little bit of a scare into the Blazers, and I think it gave Tiago just enough to talk about in the postgame as well, being like, yeah, we played well, but I didn't love that. So the Blazers are able to get that one. Everyone having a good game. I thought that obviously Deni had a very nice night. I thought Drew Holiday had a really good low-key performance. Drew was a plus 30 in that game. So when you kind of talk about, again, as I mentioned, guys who kind of know what to do in that situation, that was one of those where Drew was just like, yeah, I'll just get this thing figured out. We'll be able to have success. I thought another good game for Scoot Henderson. 5 of 10 from the field, 2 of 3 from 3 for 16 points for Scoot. Kris Murray, 14 points. I believe 12 of those coming in the second quarter as Trailblazers were really kind of establishing their largest lead versus the Nets. You talked about Donovan. He had foul trouble, but still put up a double-double, 14 points, 11 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds as well, which, the Blazers' second chance points are so important to them. So, and they had a bunch of second chance points versus the 76ers, but that's something they almost have to rely on. Yeah. And so to get a bunch of offensive rebounds, which obviously is the best way to get second chance points, a very good sign there. Toumani Camara, who had a kind of rough outing versus the 76ers, had a very nice night for Toumani. He had 18 points, 7-9 shooting from the field, 2 assists, 5 rebounds, a block, a steal in 32 minutes. And just kind of a get-right game for the Trailblazers to again kind of put the game versus the 76ers behind them, get another win, get back into kind of making sure they're keeping pace with the Warriors, who didn't play and I think don't play again until I think they play the Celtics on Wednesday. So a potential for the Trailblazers to maybe, at that point in time, even be at a tie for ninth place. The Blazers do only tiebreaker versus the Warriors this season. If it does get to that, we will see if it does. But just a really, and again, you have the great reception that Deni got. And, I think obviously, I said this on the other podcast I do, that, that is obviously Deni focused, but, if you're a Blazer, you're like, yeah, get some of that too. They're cheering at us. I get a little bit of juice from that. And I actually even tried to kind of rib Deni a little bit after the game, after his scrum got over. I was talking to Toumani and Deni's lockers are pretty close to each other. And Deni was kind of standing there listening in a little bit. And I asked Toumani a couple questions, and I was like, what do you think about kind of the response from Deni? I was like, it's kind of embarrassing, right? Just, the idea that we get all that attention. And Toumani was like, that's not embarrassing. He's like, I think that's fantastic. I think it's really cool. And I was like, no, I'm making a joke, Toumani. But you're right, it is cool. So Toumani wasn't having any of it. Which, you always got to be a little careful with the Europeans too, because sometimes the sarcasm and jokes don't come off exactly the same way. Now, granted, Toumani's been here a long time, so he knows what it is. But every now and then you got to be like, oh, no, it's we're having fun here. We're making jokes. So a good game for the Blazers. I had a couple slices of pizza after that game as well. Also, no olives.
No, I did too. That was really good pizza.
That was good pizza.
Oh, wow. Also, Blake Wesley gets his birthday.
Blake Wesley. Awesome.
And what was a bummer? I was walking, so I usually walk down to the baseline to then walk out with the camera to do the walk off. And so and there's 30 seconds left, 45, whatever. So I'm walking up, facing away, and then the whole bench goes crazy. And I'm like, what did I miss? And I missed Blake. I missed it because I was walking the opposite direction, so I didn't get to see it. I was really bummed about that. That's really the end of that story. But I was like, what happened? What happened? I leaned over to our bench. I was like, tell me what just happened. Anyways, it was fun. And I'm happy for him. Everybody was very happy for him.
I just got a text message saying, I guess Blake's mom is here in Indianapolis as well. I guess, yeah, no, this is where it's from, right?
Who?
Blake.
Is he from here?
Well, he played at Notre Dame, which is kind of in this general vicinity. And I just got a text someone saying that they ran into Blake's mom on the elevator. And she was asking if we got any videos of his dunks. So it was good for you, Mom. You should be like, yeah, where's my...
Her name's Leslie.
Leslie, that's right. Leslie Wesley.
Leslie Ann Wesley. South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah. So you might have a little bit of a squad.
That would be fun.
I'd like to see Blake get some minutes.
I would
again.
too.
It was a real bummer for him to have that foot injury because he was playing great basketball. I know. Really kind of, get a chance to show what he could do with a new team, and I hope he's able to get back to that because I think he really gives the team something a little bit different. And he's such a nice guy.
Lovable.
He always worked for the guys who
are
cool and who treat you nice.
Yes.
They just seem like regular dudes. Too.
Totally regular dude. It comes from his family.
Yep, absolutely. So Blazers have that one on Wednesday night here in Indianapolis, and a game that kind of that they need to get. Like, I won't say it's a must win, but it's like, again, if you're going to have any chance of moving up, you got to win that game versus the Pacers. And really, you probably should try to peel off one of the games versus the Timberwolves or the Nuggets. That's going to be a much taller hill to climb. But again, you almost need to, I think you kind of need to win the trip, which is what they talked about a lot on the last 5-gamer that they weren't able to win. I think that, one, you need the wins because you're trying to move up a little bit. But two, I think you need a little bit of confidence too, you know, like I think they need a win against a good team, you know, and I think that they haven't had one in a minute. I mean, any win is a good win. You're happy to get them. But I think a few wins versus teams that are in that playoff hunt or at least around you in the standings, as, you know, the 76ers were, I think, you know, for your mental, as the kids say, like, I think that's something that would help this team. And
I agree.
You know, and I thought, I didn't mention it, but I just circling back around to the Philadelphia game real fast. I felt like that locker room was a little more dour than I'm accustomed to seeing. And you want to see guys like be upset after losses. But there was definitely a vibe in the locker room where I was like, these guys are not very happy right now. And then you kind of take Thiago's comments, and then you kind of are in the locker room. You're like, yeah, I bet there was some discussions in here after this game about maybe the things we probably should have done better in that one. So I think that, again, that speaks to, one, the importance of getting that win versus the Nets, but also, two, just the importance of, like, hey, we got to string things together a little bit too. Like, we gotta get together like 4 or 5 wins in a row, and that's something that they really haven't done since I think January. So. Again, they're not going to fall out of the play-in race. I mean, basically, like, the worst they're going to be is 10th, unless, again, something catastrophic happens. Knock on plexiglass. So you don't necessarily have to worry about that. But again, if you want to give yourself a better chance of maybe advancing, you know, this is when you really need to kind of put things together a little bit. And they've done that in fits and starts. It would really be helpful if they could finish off this trip going into a homestand where they have some very winnable games. Getting a few on the road here, particularly maybe one of the games you're not going to be favored in. I think that would help this team a bit.
Yeah. First and foremost, Indiana, get that one. And I think you're right. One of those, it would be great to win out, but just one of those, of the last two. Obviously, playing at Denver is tough, but I think it would be great for their confidence. And I had brought this up with Deni. This is actually funny. You should say that earlier about like certain phrases or things that might not translate. I was planning on bringing it up about how Thiago had said, you know, they need to get their mojo back. So I was like, I don't know if Deni would know what mojo is. So I combined it with, because I still wanted to get that word in because that was the exact word that, you know, Thiago used. I said, is this one of those games where, you know, I said something like, get your mojo back, get back into a rhythm. So I threw that in there just in case he didn't know what mojo meant, because, you know, that is an interesting one. I don't know if he would know what mojo means, because I don't even know where mojo came from.
Yeah, I will look that up, and I hope it's not something weird. But,
I hope not too.
Well, I mean, that's not our fault. It's how words trade. But we had a similar thing about that at practice last week, where I think Joe Freeman said something about like spilt milk, and then he goes, "Oh, you guys use that phrase too?" And you're like, "Yeah." And then he said it in Hebrew, and then Joe tried to say it, and he's like, "I'm not going to get that." And I saw that got clipped, and I saw some Israeli accounts where like, this guy's never going to be able to speak Hebrew. And I'm like, hey, Joe, come on, give Joe a break. And I think he's got some lineage, actually, if I'm not mistaken as well. So before we wrap up on this edition of the Blazers Balcony, presented by our friends at Spirit Mountain Casino, which I should remind you that you can experience an unmatched level of coziness and comfort by experiencing the newly remodeled hotel lobby at Spirit Mountain Casino, Brooke. Spirit Mountain Casino's rooms have all the essentials, from high-speed Wi-Fi to 24-hour front desk service. Choose the room that best suits you and book your stay now. Spirit Mountain Casino, Highway 18 in Grand Ronde. Elevate your game. I hope the George Thorogood concert was great. I bet it was.
Sure it was.
Yeah.
We're going to have to do that.
Probably back to the ball.
Oh, nicely done.
Well, that's not nice. That's not even like a lob. That's like a tee ball where the ball is connected to the tee and it's when you put it right back on. So
that's what it was.
that is what it was. Which, by the way, too. So no baseball interest for Theo.
He got soured on it when he first played t-ball.
He did play t-ball though.
He played t-ball and he's like, all you do is stand around. I'm like, I know, but he did not like it.
You ain't wrong.
No, he's not wrong. So he likes the soccer, and soccer number one, but he likes to be moving and doing stuff rather than baseball is too stagnant for him.
Yeah. I've always, the idea of shutouts and how like a shutout is like a big thing in baseball has always been kind of funny to me because it's like, so literally nothing happened. Mm-hmm. Like, and I've always been curious, like how much they do tracking for like, what's the least a person has moved in a professional baseball game? Like, so if you're playing right field for the entire game and no one ever hits a ball to you and you don't count you running out in the middle of the innings, like, could you play a full MLB baseball game without moving, I wonder? I
mean, if you're just playing defense, but if you're hitting,
well, right, the hitting, yes. So on the defensive side, you're right.
Yeah, I think, you could. You could just.
So if you're, I mean, that's usually the pitcher, but if you're in the American League and there's a DH, you could conceivably be, not even hitting, and so then it's really like, how little can I do and still collect a check?
That's funny. It's the opposite of what Tom Haberstroh does. How much does Tumani move? It's like the complete opposite. Like, how much does a baseball player not move? That's very true. If no balls come your way, you're just hanging out there.
Yeah. And I'm not disparaging it either, by the way. Particularly as I get older, I really see the merits of a sport where you don't have to move. And that would be probably helpful for me. But it's always been an interesting thing to me. I don't know why I brought up the T-ball, but
I had an answer for you.
Well, I'll mention to him next time. But okay, good call there. So before we wrap up, as I mentioned, Pacers on Wednesday, Timberwolves on Friday, Nuggets on Sunday, and then that is a back-to-back. They face the Nets once again at Moda Center on Monday. So chance to hopefully get one versus the Pacers, and then days off in between each game, maybe a few practices, maybe a chance to address some things. No Anthony Edwards for the game versus the Timberwolves. They announced he's going to be out 1 to 2 weeks with a sore right knee, which I was like, my knee is sore too. And I'm right there with you. And then again, a very tough game versus a very good Nuggets team on Sunday. So will be a difficult end to the trip, but hopefully at least able to get the one versus the Pacers, and then hopefully get themselves a chance in both those games. Because again, I think it would really go a long way toward them, more than just that single win. I think they need a little bit of juice, something to feel a little bit confident about going into this last stretch of the season. And that's what we do. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, please like, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, be it on Spotify, Apple Music,
You're making me
YouTube.
You're making me laugh because of when Michael Holton asked us, how do I listen to your podcast?
Yes, exactly. I was like, yes, Michael will be racing to his Spotify account to listen to our podcast. He's listening to Michael's not on podcast anymore, but you're supposed to Michael anyways. I was glad they were doing the shows when we were on too, because it felt like it was a good mix there. And I did actually grab the loofah out of the hotel in New York, going to present with Michael. And I will tell you, Michael, if you happen to be listening, because you're subscribing, there has not been a single hotel that we've been at yet that has this one won't even single plastic, that has the actual shampoo, conditioner that you can take with you. Mm-hmm. And up to and including, the hotel in Philadelphia had no bar soap. The hotel in New York did have one small bar, but you had to kind of find it. Mm-hmm. And I'm a bar soap person. Liquid soap for me, like, just doesn't work for me. Like, the entire time I'm like squeezing out as much as I possibly can, trying to get the foam up, feel like it doesn't do it enough. Like, literally, I like wash my arm and then like do 5 pumps of body wash, mix it up again, wash another arm, 5 more pumps, legs. Like, it's too much work. I want a solid piece of soap in my hand that I can rub on myself, and I just don't feel clean with body wash. I've tried. I've legitimately tried. Just
something I did not know about you.
Yes, well, there you go.
Now we all know.
That's a great way to end this edition of the Blazers Balcony. Presented by Sterling Casino. talk to you next week.
Peace out.